times will be tough in any business. You have to, in your core, believe in your conviction of what it is you're trying to do. And so if you have that at the foundation of what it is you're trying to do and where you're trying to go, that'll help you through those self-doubts or a bad review or a bad Yelp or a bad Google review, whatever it may be. But I think that certainly the name helps because that helps open the door. But that doesn't guarantee success in any way, shape, or form.
Hi, my name is Brett Linkletter, CEO and co-founder of Dineline, a restaurant growth agency. We help restaurant brands of all sizes grow and scale to new heights, whether that means opening new stores or increasing revenue at existing locations. We have a done-for-you model where we take care of all of the work for our clients on the marketing front, and we also have a unique software solution called Dishio, which allows owners to showcase their restaurant in the best light possible online, while also turning guest interactions into data to increase profits. Right now, you're listening to our podcast, Restaurant Misfits, where we'll discuss all things related to restaurant marketing, management, and everything else in between growing a restaurant business. Scaling a restaurant today takes much more than having grit and hustle. In this age, it's about utilizing the newest technology, educating yourself on new platforms and trends, and having a deep understanding of how this industry is changing. This podcast is dedicated to keeping you up to speed with the latest and the greatest through interviewing the biggest and the best in the restaurant industry. As always, we appreciate you for being here, and we hope you enjoy the show. Babak, how are you?
I am great. How are you, Brett?
I'm doing really, really well. Very excited to chat with you. And I know you're in Boston, but next time you're in Miami, we got to link up because you live in one of the best buildings here, also in Miami, one of your other spots.
Yeah, love that city.
It's fun, man. I know. But let's talk about you. You have, man, such an interesting story. For those who don't know who you are, though, maybe they're seeing you for the first time. Can you just give our audience just like a quick 2-minute rundown of who you are and a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Let's see. So I'm an immigrant, first and foremost, because I think that makes a lot of who I am and how I think about the world and people around me and the way I run my businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I came here from Iran after the 1979 revolution. I came into the business of hospitality through the back door, in through the dish pit of a pizza joint or a slice shop that a
Yeah.
friend of mine's family owned, and then I worked my way through, and ultimately co-founded with my sister Bina Family Hospitality, which owned some 8, 9 restaurants, and then most recently I partnered up with one of my good friends, Jamie Bissonette, a well-known, nationally acclaimed chef, and we started our own new group called BCB3 Hospitality with our other friend and partner, Andy Carton. And Andy was my general manager in opening one of my restaurants. And I do a lot of different things. I also have a real estate firm, and I've been involved in making an impact in various neighborhoods in the city of Boston over the last 4 decades.
Very cool. Very cool, man. And yeah, your story I was reading up on before this podcast, and it's extremely unique and extremely powerful. I think I think people should know more about it. And I know you just said yourself, I mean, you identify now as an immigrant still. Tell me though, when you first came here, you came to Boston after the Iranian Revolution, right?
Yep.
What do you remember about those first couple of weeks when you first came here? Because you're coming from a pretty traumatic
Ooh,
situation. What was that like?
yeah. Um, it's you. I don't know if you've had any traumatic experience in your life, but I think that you try to suppress these feelings,
Hmm.
and you try not to think much about them because you just want to move forward, right? You just want to get through the days that have now become years. But I'm starting to get to the point in my life where I'm being asked this question a lot, and I'm reflecting more and more. And
Yeah.
so, what I remember was, oddly enough, as a 13-year-old in 1979, um, was that the bottom sort of fell out. That summer before we traveled through Europe, like we always did, we were escorted through the various checkpoints in various airports in Europe, like we were kings and queens. And then all of a sudden, when my mom was able to finally get me out of the country, we were treated like shit.
Mm.
We were literally
How old were you, by the
detained.
way?
I was 13, just a little
Yeah.
over 13. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was traumatic. It was traumatic. And we were detained in London for 24 hours under armed guards as
Oh
if
my
we were
God.
terrorists. And yeah, it was, I obviously I'm lucky that my mom got me out just in time before became completely impossible. My dad got stuck for 3 years until he finally was able to get out. My sisters were going to school in Boston. That's why we ended up here.
So wait, your dad was still stuck in Iran 3 years after that, and then he finally got.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then
Wow.
unfortunately, I remember he was a very affluent guy. He'd grown up in a very comfortable life.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a nanny in his younger years and a butler in his older years. And he got to this country at 59, which is the age I'm in currently, this is
Wow.
really, you've caught me this might become a psychotherapy session, Brett, okay? Beware. And listeners, beware as well. But my dad ultimately, got here, and we lived in a great neighborhood, Brookline, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston.
Yeah.
And he would get up every day and would say, "I wouldn't let my servants live in this place," and we wouldn't see him for the rest of the day. And then ultimately, he died a year later, the day after the Persian New Year, and it was
Wow.
because of that heartache, I think.
And how did you process that? How did you handle that?
I didn't. I really hated what happened to us, and I blamed him a lot, I think.
Mm.
And my life, my sister's lives, and my mom's life, it was turned upside down. We lost everything. He lost generations of wealth. It never got passed down to me, but beyond that, it was we had a comfortable life, needless to say,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it because
Yeah.
through adversity, through failure, you learn, and you learn how to develop a thicker skin, how to be a better human being. And so when you ask me, you remember being an immigrant because it's intentional. I don't want to ever
Yeah.
forget. And
Yeah.
I have a couple of boats. One of them is named the Chief Dishwasher
Oh, that is incredible. I love
because
that.
when people ask me in a restaurant setting, "Oh, what do you do here?" If they don't know me or what have you, and I'm walking through the restaurant, and they ultimately hone in on me and they call me over,
Yeah.
what's your role here? And I'm just a chief dishwasher.
Wow. That's so incredible.
Yeah.
Super cool, man. Super cool. So, I mean, I think that's really cool though, by the way. So I'm from California originally. We have a lot of
Whereabouts?
Orange County.
Okay. My
Grew up
wife's
in
from
Orange
Northern
County.
California,
Oh,
Palo
very
Alto
cool.
area. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, grew up in Orange County. Eventually moved up to LA. Was there for 12 years,
Oh,
and then
Tehrangeles.
yeah. What's that?
Tehrangeles.
Yeah.
Not Los
Yeah.
Angeles,
Yeah.
Tehrangeles.
Yes.
For those who don't
Yes.
know, a lot of Iranians and even non-Iranians. I mean, there's streets that are in Farsi that are in LA.
Oh yeah.
So pretty crazy.
There's a lot of Iranians. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
My uncle was they never got married, but he was together with an Iranian for like 25 years.
Oh
And
wow,
they're basically our family to us at this point. And it
cool.
have been, right? So yeah, very familiar. And but I moved to Miami a couple of years ago, and it is all immigrants, as you know, right? My
For
wife's
sure.
Brazilian, right? I think I told you that earlier too. And
Yeah.
she same thing. Like I mean, I met her in Brazil and brought her here. That's how this all happened.
Wow.
I ended up learning Portuguese, really falling in love with the culture and everything now. And so even though I'm not an immigrant, I have always been around immigrants. And one thing I always tell my wife and all my other friends here are also immigrants. We have a couple mutual friends already. You know,
Yeah.
Italians, a couple of French friends of mine, and they all identify actually as immigrants the same. And I think there's something really special about that because at least what I've learned about like through Brazilian culture and meeting my wife and all her friends and whatnot is like so many people come here and they really recognize they actually recognize the opportunity we have here now in the US, right? Obviously. And I've seen the struggle because I lived in São Paulo for almost 8 months, and I've seen now her also transform as a person who grew up in São Paulo, was going to law school, ended up dropping out of law school to then come here and move with me and start a business from scratch without knowing anything, barely knew English, and it's I got to kind of witness her side of the story, and it is we got to give more credit to immigrants, I think, than Americans do. Like, it is
Sure.
very tough. And I think that the people that have gone through that, a situation like yourself, they come out so damn strong. And I would argue so much more stronger than so many other Americans that they just don't get it. They
Yeah.
don't understand what it took to get here and build from nothing. Where
Yeah.
I told you myself, I'm from Orange County. I grew up in, Laguna Beach and Newport Beach. Oh man, everyone there it grew up with every opportunity in the world. Yet so many of them don't do much with it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Um, I think that's incredible, man. Super cool. And I guess now transitioning now into the restaurant space. I mean, when did you realize hospitality like maybe wasn't just going to be a job for you, but it was your actual path that you were going to take?
Yeah. I didn't know early on, obviously. I just frankly wanted to just fit in with the rest of the kids. And I asked a
Mm.
bunch of guys in high school, what are you guys doing to summertime? And one of them said that he goes to south of France. I said, well, don't have a passport, can't go there.
Yeah.
My other friend said that he and his family go to Nantucket. I said, again, I can't get a visa to Nantucket. He's like, no, you moron. Nantucket is just an island off of Massachusetts. And I said, oh, okay. Then another friend, Carlo Petruzziello, said that my dad owns restaurants. And I said, oh, that's really cool. What do you do? He said, I just work with my dad in the summertime. I said, that's really cool. Can I come do that? He's like, you're really strange, but sure, come on
Mm.
over and talk to my dad. So that weekend, I went and talked to Phil, who was an immigrant himself. Minimum wage was like, I don't know, $1.15 or $1.20, and I was getting paid under the table. I think the
Oh man.
statute of limitations is over now, so we can talk about it.
Yeah.
But I ultimately got through high school and then went to Boston University and got a business degree with a minor in marketing. And I ultimately was like, okay, my family got me, my mom especially was like, all right, that's it with the restaurant business. My sister had already started a restaurant business and with family money and opened the first Northern Italian restaurants in Boston called Toscano on Charles Street in Beacon Hill. And so she was like, "It's enough with the restaurant business with you too. You went to college. You need to get a real job." And that statement has always stuck to me, right? And I think about how we have been able to elevate what we do, luckily.
Mm.
And so I went to a couple of corporate jobs, and I realized it really wasn't for me. And I decided to go back, and I opened my first restaurant in 1990. I decided to quit my job in '89, open in 1990 in a neighborhood in the south end of Boston. And the rest is sort of history.
So cool. Do you feel like having that humble beginning? I mean, you said, like chief dishwashers we associate with now, right? And that those early stages, do you feel like that's kind of shaped or changed your management style today still? Do you feel like that's had an
100%.
impact? Yeah.
100%. After Pino's, I started working in some restaurants and uh, helped out my sister at Toscano once in a while. And they opened a restaurant also in Providence. But my job was with an Italian family. I won't mention the name of the restaurant,
Mm.
but I'll just say that it was in our little Italy called the North End.
Mm.
Back then, the mob was still around, very very strong,
Yeah.
and the owner would slap you, would kick the workers, would
Mm.
you know completely humiliate his employees, and the employees did horrible things, really horrible things that I won't mention. But I said to myself, if I ever become an owner, or if I become ever a manager, even, I want to treat people with dignity and with humaneness and with care and compassion. And so that has been really the core of what I've done. And now with my business partners, that truly is how. And Jamie's been living that motto also. And
Yeah.
we've been sort of moving along this track, and now we've merged these two tracks together, and that is really we like to do business with people who we like to do business with, not with those who we don't feel comfortable doing business with. So we
Yeah.
had an incredible deal that we could have taken, but we passed on this opportunity because the person who owned the property was just not a good person. So we just said, you know what? Not worth it. We don't need this. And so we
Yeah.
try to take that approach with everything. We also want to be compassionate at work, but compassionism and fairness doesn't mean that you're going to not be strict about what your expectations are of staff. And that's a key factor. And a lot of people confuse those things. Um,
100%.
and we want
Yeah.
to be fair in people earning the right amount of money, whether it's our distributors and suppliers or whether it is our staff and ourselves. At the end of the day, I run a nonprofit with my wife, but really our restaurants are for profit. So we have to, at the end of the day, be profitable to be doing what we're doing.
For sure. And like you said too, I mean, character counts, man. I mean, I think that's incredible. And I think too many people probably would take a deal, probably with someone who maybe wasn't the best person in these kind of situations. But I respect that. That's super cool, man. Very cool.
Thanks.
Um, it makes me think too that like in the hospitality space, I mean, I've seen it, I'm sure you've seen it way more than me, but like how do you approach like the the phrase that the customer is always right? Do
Mm,
you that's kind of something I feel like even in my company that is something where I mean we work with restaurant owners, right? And restaurant owners can be the coolest, most incredible people in the world, but just like any other industry, there's a lot of bad apples too,
yeah.
right? And how do you approach that?
That's a the old anecdote and there is there's some truth to it. And the way I think about it and the way I talk about it with our staff is that people come into the restaurant to be entertained
Yep.
ultimately, and they want to ultimately be seen and be heard. And if we're doing a great job in the way we greet them from the door all the way through their meal until they actually step outside of our doors, because a lot of restaurants, great greeting, maybe great even experience in the mid, but then at the end, it's like it fizzles. You're walking out the door, people are standing there, talking, no one's walking in, so therefore they're ignoring you. I think as long as they're in your premise, they're in your care. Just imagine if someone walks into your home and they're your guest. You're
Yeah.
not just going to let them walk out the door by themselves, right? You're going to walk them out the door, perhaps. You're going to show them out. So I think that those things are extremely important. And I think that as long as our staff are doing what they should be doing, and I trust that they all do, then I'm going to have our staff's back. We are going to stand up for their rights. So if a guest is being rude or being inappropriate,
Yeah.
they're out of the restaurant. I mean, I don't care who they
Yeah.
are, what they do. We need to allow our staff to have dignity and to know that when they come to work, they're safe from the craziness in the world, and that we're here to take care of people and disarm them from their difficult day or week or month. And
Yeah.
we'll do everything we can in being hospitable and taking care of them, but that line can't be crossed where they're being inappropriate or rude to our staff or demeaning. So
Yeah. No, I could imagine. I could definitely imagine. Tell me about what you think about service versus food quality. I mean, is there, in your opinion, can great service make up for average food? I mean,
well,
what?
you got all these great questions. These um, the short answer is yes, and I'm again I'm gonna reference my partners and especially Jamie, who is a chef, right?
Yeah.
One of the reasons we're partners now, business partners, is because he does believe that as well. I think that I'll turn the question around to you. When you go to a restaurant and you have a mediocre meal,
Yeah.
and then the server was great to you and they bent backwards before you even knew that you were missing a steak knife. They were there because they forgot it, let's say, and they were there. You dropped it, they were there. So all those attentions to detail will matter at the end of the day when you leave that place. And you may have had an okay meal, but you'll remember how you were taken care of. Now, flip that, in my opinion, and you have an incredible meal,
Mm,
and then you have someone that is condescending to you, and they're rude to you.
yeah.
Um, I don't want to go back there. Why would I want to do that? And I think that in my theory and in my experience, it works from top to bottom in any business. If you've
Hmm.
got people that are bad at the counter when you
Yep.
walk into a retail store and they're being rude and they're not being caring and hospitable, because hospitality is not just in the restaurant business, in every business, in your business, in
Yep.
in every business there's hospitality. And so I think it works from top to bottom. And if the top person doesn't understand that the guests have the right to go somewhere else and get that services or that goods, then you're in trouble, because then the staff are going to behave the same way. So I think it's important to um, be the utmost hospitable staff that you can be, and that only can come through the core, from top to bottom, from the core, that you are paying attention and you're talking about it and you're talking some more about it, and guiding people and coaching people, and those small things will pay off. And sometimes it's ad nauseum, but humans need to be coached and taught and shown, and so that's the way you can get through it. But hospitality will definitely overtake a bad meal.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. As you were talking through this, I was thinking about my own personal experiences and how I felt, and it's interesting because there's a restaurant down the street from my place, and I don't want to mention the name because I'm going to say good things about them, but I also had not the best food experience, but the service was top notch.
Yeah,
And so my wife and I, honestly, we had probably go to this place like 4 times a year, like 5 times a year maybe.
yeah,
And it's like the first time we went was incredible. Service was on point. Food was incredible. We ended up going back again. The food was not so great, but the service was still incredible. And so we ended up going back a third time because we're like, God, they're so great. They're just good people. They treat you well, and we had a great experience too. So I think sometimes, God, at the end of the day, I know in the restaurant space, you want to be as consistent as possible, but sometimes you just can't. Sometimes it's just not going to be exactly the same as it always was previously. And so I think guests are more forgiving of maybe not the best food in these certain circumstances if the service was top notch. I mean,
yeah,
we went back, right?
yeah,
We went
yeah,
back. And I remember thinking
100%.
through that. So I totally get it. But on the flip side, um,
You
we
ideally, by the way, you want everything to be perfect or as
of
near perfect
course,
as possible, right?
of course.
And so let's not, we don't want to serve bad food. We don't
No,
want
of
to be
course.
misfiring, but at the same time, we're talking about, if all things were equal, hospitality and service does matter. And when people know that you care, you genuinely care,
Yep.
and you've shown them from the beginning that they enter to the time that they were done with the meal, then that'll help you overcome mishaps. And but none of us are perfect. We're all
Yep.
human. Things are going to happen. The question is, how do you handle that situation that occurred? Will you deal with it in a hospitable way, or will you
Yeah.
turn on the guest?
And this might be kind of a loaded question, but I how do you teach hospitality to your new staff members? I mean, what does that process look like? How rigorous is it?
Yeah.
What's day one look like all the way till end of the year? How long does it take? Is it
Yeah.
continuous? What's that look like for you?
You've been around Persians, that some people have warm blood. Your
Yeah.
wife is Brazilian. She's warm blooded.
Yep.
You enter into a home of a Persian or a Brazilian, that you're being taken care of. And in my culture, you give up your bed for your guest so that they sleep in it. And
Yep.
so those things are extremely important. And some people walking through the door and through the application process, they show you that they have that innate ability. They may not have all the technical things, and you can teach the technical aspects of the business. But being truly hospitable, ideally, is in their ability, and in their it runs through their DNA.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think that with repetition, with mindfulness, with constantly coaching and talking about it, as I said earlier, those factors will absolutely help the person that wants to learn it and understands it, that it's going to make a difference in their life and in people that are being taken care of. Um, it will make a big impact if you can just coach them along, talk about it from day one. And if it delays your restaurant opening, then it delays your restaurant opening.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not a thing that you can teach it and forget about it.
Yeah.
You have to, if someone's having a bad day, again, you want when they show up and you see through the evening that something is wrong, you need to pull them aside and say, "Hey, Joe, what's happening? What's going on? You seem a little bit off. Can you shake it off? You want to go walk around the block and come back? Because we really, it's a busy night. We really need you to be here."
Yeah.
So those moments where you're kind and you don't walk up to someone and say, "Hey, what the heck is the matter with you?" and then you go off on them, that's just going to spiral them the wrong way. So it's
Yeah.
about how you bring people along.
Yeah. I always tell my managers too, teaching managers to manage their people. It's like no feedback is feedback, by the way, right? So
Sure.
if you have an employee that acts out, or to your point, maybe is truly having a bad day, or whatever it gets, and then they act up or whatever it is, no feedback is feedback. And that resonates for the rest of the team too, right?
Yeah.
Someone doing something wrong and then you not saying something, it basically tells the other employees that I can also do that, or that's
Yeah.
also appropriate and whatnot, right? Which I just don't support.
Yeah.
And
I'll
so
tell you,
what?
I'll tell you a funny thing, if I could interrupt you for a second,
Yeah,
sorry.
of course.
But what pops to my head is when we were building JM Curly, which we opened some 14 years ago now, we came up with this Law and Order. And the Law and Order had a lot of things, almost like the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that. It included not, sitting at the bar with your date and pretending like you're, in a hotel room.
Mm,
And at the end of it, it said, just don't be a douchebag.
really, I love that.
And my wife, and I had run some 6, 7 fine dining restaurants up into that point, and we decided to really, because of the economic crash of 2008, we said, you know what? Fine, people don't want fine dining. We'll give them the best dive place that is going to be blowing their mind away. So JM Curly was created, and this Law and Order was to, and my wife was like, I can't believe you're not gonna put this anywhere, are you? We plastered it on the wall, we put it on the back of the menu, it
Oh
was
my
on
God.
our website. And people, it was tongue in cheek, right? But at the same time, it was both for ourselves, our staff, as well as those that were coming in, because Yelp was on the rise. And in fact, one of the last lines before that line was, "Don't be a Yelper. Yelp can't help you. Tell us if you have an issue. We'd love to take care of it." I'm paraphrasing. But
Wow.
at the end of the day, we wanted to take care of people, and just don't be rude. Don't be a douchebag. And that also stood for us as
Yeah.
staff members and managers and servers and what have you, and owners. You can't also behave that way as well.
What's your hiring process look like, by the way? How does that work? How do you guys recruit?
So, I mean, it's a lot of word of mouth for us, luckily, because people want to work with us.
Yeah.
Occasionally, we use various websites like Boston Chefs, which is a great website for restaurants in Boston. We don't do a lot of national. We have used headhunters on the higher level jobs,
Got
but
it.
our everyday staff, that really is what makes our powerhouse and what the fabric of our internal community is about, are people that are saying, "Hey, you want to work at BCB3, you want to work at Bina Family Hospitality." Bina Family Hospitality's oldest employee has been with us since 2000. I'm sorry, 1995.
Wow.
1995, and this guy
My
started as a
God.
dishwasher, and he is
Wow.
now he is
Yeah.
now a sous chef, and has been for a long time. So um, our director of operations started as a bartender and bar manager, and left for a short while because grass always looks greener across the field, and then you get there and you're standing on top of it and it's brown. Like, I thought it was green. It's not. And
Yeah.
I think that, I always say you don't want to go for money. You want to go for what you're going to get in your work environment.
Mm,
And I'm also very loyal with our suppliers and distributors. We give them chances. We give our staff chances. And so it's really important to take care of yourself. You take care of the people around you and widen that core and give people opportunities to tell you what might be going wrong. And when people see that culture internally,
yep.
they want their friends to be a part of that culture. So oftentimes, if someone is leaving to another city because of another opportunity, and we have, a lot of times people are going because they're working at the wig shop or cocktail lounge, and they can be there. They hone their skills and they become a bar manager or beverage director somewhere else. We're happy for them. That's awesome. Before they
Yeah.
go out, they're hiring for us before they leave. So that's the way we find our best staff members.
That is incredible. It's interesting. I found like in my space, my industry, we use a lot of like LinkedIn recruiting, and it's been great. But I don't imagine restaurant owners use LinkedIn very much for recruiting, right? Have you
You
guys
know,
maybe some higher level positions? Do you guys, or not really?
when there have been desperate moments
Yeah.
as they come about, and we're certainly the past few years, just before the pandemic, and certainly the cause of the pandemic was we lost a lot of great people because they just simply were fed up, and
Yeah.
fed up because of, like you said earlier, bad apples in the industry, and they were jaded. And sometimes we do find people that come to us and they're sort of shell shocked, and we have to kind of get
Yeah.
them to be themselves and allow them to be themselves. Yeah,
100%. So you started as a dishwasher, you grew into where you are today, and again, your story is pretty incredible, man, and I love to see it. So many restaurant owners try, and I think what do they say? Most restaurants go out of business in the first 2 years, is what it is, right?
exactly. Yeah,
I mean, you have concentrated on for years and years and years. That's incredible. You've obviously built a lot of strengths in your industry, but what do you feel like are maybe some of your weaknesses? What are some areas that you feel like, I don't know, the world has changed a lot in the last 20 years, right? Like, do you feel like, is there something that you feel out of touch with at this point to some degree based on where the world is going? Do you feel
sure,
like, and how do you improve upon those things then as well?
sure. I hugely believe in surrounding myself with smarter people,
Yep.
with people that know things that I don't know. And it's important for almost a 6-year-old guy to have people that are um, more savvy, and I
Yeah.
can concentrate on the things that I can concentrate on, and I know that I'll do well in. But certainly keeping up with technology is an ever changing world.
Yeah.
I remember we were deciding whether or not we should have a fax machine. I don't even know
Crazy.
if faxes exist anymore or not. I'm dating myself, but I think that you always, doesn't matter what point in your life you are, you always want to be hanging around. And I have two boys that are 23 and almost 20, and they will be the people that they're hanging around with. They will be a representation of their family. So their upbringing
Yeah.
carries them to a certain extent, but you
Hmm.
want to be surrounding yourself with good people, with people with character and with morals. So I think that for me, the handicap is that it's a fast moving industry. It's a fast moving world, and you have to be adapting. And I surround myself with people that can help me do that.
Yeah. How much would you say at this point when you launch a new concept, which by the way, you have so many different types of concepts, which is incredible. Props to you, because that is not easy to do. Um,
One of these days, I'll learn my lesson, and we'll just create a cookie cutter, But
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I guess my question is like, how much, when you launch a new concept, how much of that new concept success do you think is because of now your brand name and you yourself, maybe the association to that brand? And how much is it maybe through some strategic marketing that you guys are doing to promote that new restaurant? I mean, what would you say the split is?
great question. Great question. I think that the leg up we get based on our experience is certainly what
Yeah.
contributes to the success. And collectively, between Jamie, myself, and Andy, we have, I don't know, over 70, 80 years of experience in the business combined.
Yeah.
And we're constantly talking. We're constantly bouncing ideas off of each other. We get hit upon several times a week about a new project, about a new hotel, about this, that, the other thing. We really try to stay true to our passions based on where we've been, what we've seen, what we really like to do. And for us, we're sort of lucky that we can afford to do that, right?
Yeah.
Because not everybody, they're just so in the weeds that they can't see beyond it. And um, that's difficult. And I feel bad. And certainly, I have helped a lot of restaurants open and not as a consulting, although I've done that as well, but really to just lend them a hand. They're stuck in the bureaucracy of the city bureaucracies.
Yeah.
I could break through because of my people that I know or the experience that I've been through, and of course, I extend a hand.
But
Having created,
what does a launch look like for you guys? Because I mean, we get asked this all the
yeah,
time, right? And I think, I mean, I've heard some people say, well, this guy or she's successful because it's her or it's him, right? And I say, okay, yes, but they ask, and honestly, it's always like, well, how can I stand out amongst all these other restaurants? Miami, for example, as you know, God, there's
yeah,
a new restaurant opening every single week.
yeah,
And they're all great concepts, right? And a lot haven't worked, even with the big name reputations and this and that. Maybe haven't
yeah.
absolutely done amazing in Paris or New York or LA, but they come to Miami and they actually come up and then they're gone, right?
So it's interesting. Boston um, is very unique.
Yep.
A lot of cities are very unique. I think that this cookie cutter take whatever it is that works in, say, Beacon Hill neighborhood of Boston and put it
Hmm.
in another neighborhood in Boston even necessarily may not work. So for us, it's being very mindful of what do we believe in doing next, right? Truly, what do we
Mm.
believe in doing next? And
Yep.
what makes us tick? Because times will be tough in any business. You have to, in your core, believe in your conviction of what it is you're trying to do. And so, if you have that at the foundation of what it is you're trying to do and where you're trying to go, that'll help you through those self doubts or a bad review or a bad Yelp or a bad Google review, whatever it may be. But I think that certainly the name helps because that helps open the door. But that doesn't guarantee
What
success in any way, shape, or form. I
what
disagree with
about
whoever says that.
yeah, 100%. And what do you think about specifically like how do you decide what kind of concept to open up?
Yeah.
And for context too, I have a good friend. His name is Peter, and he was the former COO. You know Kiki's on the river in
Sure.
Miami.
Hmm.
So he connected us to them. We've been working with them since January, and awesome concept. They do incredible numbers, and he's no longer with them, and he's now starting his own restaurant group and opening a few restaurants. And I was just chatting with him actually just literally yesterday, and he's put together kind of like a formula um, to help restaurant owners decide upon what types of concepts to open up based upon the target demographic in the specific area, and then also looking at other restaurants in the area. So, for example, I've always thought that since I moved to Miami. I'm from California. We have lots of great Mexican food. Miami,
Yeah.
there's very few Mexican restaurants, like,
Yeah.
like good Mexican restaurants where I'm just used to every street corner. It's Mexican, it all the time. And I think there's probably an opportunity for some more restaurants here. I know the owner of Javier's from Orange County.
Hmm.
He's actually a good family friend of ours, and I told him the same thing. You got to open a Javier's here. People don't know what fine dining Mexican food is like.
Right. Right.
And I think there's only like one restaurant here. Chateau Zizi's is like the only one. And I'm thinking just from my personal experience, wow, a Mexican concept would do really well in Miami. There just needs more of that. But I'm saying that based on my personal experience. Is there a demand for that or not? Do you when you're opening a new concept, do you do something to research what type of concept you should open up based on the demographics, or is it kind of just your genius where you're really just going with your gut on some new concept you want to do in this area, and you think that it's, is there
Yeah.
data to back it, or is it more
There,
of like a hunch?
we don't, McDonald's and the Burger Kings were the first ones in the world to, do a study radius and say this is the demographics and we don't do that. We certainly approach it, where is the nearest concept of this, but we have done a lot of firsts in
Mm-hmm.
Boston. So I mentioned my sister and my family with Toscano, first Northern Italian restaurant. After that, the first trattoria called Azita Restaurant in the South End that I named after my sister. No trattoria existed in Boston. And so, and then La La Roque, which was a Persian restaurant and nothing like it anywhere in the world. New York Times wrote about it the first time New York Times ever wrote about a restaurant outside of New York. Ruth Raquel wrote the article that La La Roque was included, and that was my longest running restaurant for 24 years. And the list goes on, and we try to find something that makes us stand out. And just because it worked somewhere else, we don't necessarily think that we're going to take it and transplant it. For us, it has been that Boston could really be, it might be the right moment for this concept. And then it starts really for us with the location. And if the location we walk in and really it has a feeling that it gives back to us, and
Mm.
it's sort of indescribable. I can't exactly describe it, but we walk through a location and then ideas start popping up in our heads,
Mm.
and we bounce around those ideas, and we then go back to our sort of memory bank of the ideas and concept that we have in our back pocket and say, we think that Zurito, this Basque restaurant, would work great in Beacon Hill, which is our newest concept we opened about a year ago to,
Nice.
incredible acclaim by everybody and patrons, most importantly. But sure, there are no other pincho bars in Boston. So in a way, it's one of the oldest foods in the world, right? But it didn't exist
Yep.
here. So I think and we believed in it, like I
Yeah.
said before. So we don't have a formula where, well, okay, where's the nearest Italian restaurant? Can we open it here? Or where's the nearest French restaurant? Certainly, if we were to do a French restaurant, we would say, who is our competition? How are we different from them? Because we can't,
Yeah.
most of the time we know every operator, and so we don't necessarily want to be cannibalizing on their business. There's not enough to go around, so we're going to want to put our own twist in it, and we want to make it unique to us.
100%. Talk to me about the marketing. What's it look like for you guys? How do you get new people to come in? How do you get people to come back more often? What's that look like?
Yeah. Um, it certainly is not like the way it was back in the day, but I do think that it is extremely important to treat those guests that are coming in, the first few and the next few after that, and you widen that circle. So we do hugely believe in a word of mouth.
Yeah.
And we think that if your word of you could throw the best awards at the restaurant, but at the core of it, if you're not taking care of the guests that are coming in, it's going to fall apart because the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
So you could please one critic or one writer, through whatever method that you do, but at the end of it, if you're not truly what you say you are in the way you take care of people on your food, it's going to fall apart. Now, beyond that, we certainly have an incredible team with Mono Creative, our publicist, that
Mm.
make sure that we are on the know when something is being written about a certain concept that we would fit in. And then Instagram has certainly been helpful in making sure that people get to know about it. But Instagram is changing a little bit now, and a
Totally.
lot of people that are say liking you and following you are not necessarily in your backyard. So they're not going to be coming in through your door every time they like a dish that you put on there. But
For
nonetheless,
sure.
it's certainly a methodology by which you do. And unfortunately, magazines and print is hurting still. And so
Mm.
certain people are trying to make a comeback with it. Boston Magazine just got purchased about a year ago, and they'll try at it. So yeah, it's still really gone back to the old fashioned shaking hands and
I see.
making sure that the guests are happy.
So I mean, do you guys even have like a chief of marketing at your guys' company, or is
Nope,
it?
nope.
Wow.
It's Jamie running food to the table and me bussing a table and Andy pouring wine and that's what we do every night practically. And it's
Wow.
saying hello to guests that are coming in, and if we don't know them, we still say hello and say welcome in. Where have you been? We've been open for a year. You owe us a lot of dinners.
Yeah.
You got some catching up to do. Um,
Oh my
but
God.
yeah,
What about at least on the remarketing front? Do you guys have like a CRM list? Do you collect emails or phone numbers in any kind of
yeah,
way? Anything like that?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that what we do with technology on that end of it is that we really try, because we have 7 concepts in total
Yeah.
between the 2 restaurant groups that I'm founding partner in. We want people to be taken care of, right? That's where it again goes to the core of it. I feel like I'm saying this over and over again, but
Yeah.
it can't be said enough. So we want people to, if I'm not there, right, I'm at another restaurant at that moment, which a guest walks in the door, we want our staff to know immediately who they are, what they like, what they don't like, maybe what table they like and what table they don't like. And the list of the preferences goes on from there. And it goes back to exactly the same way I said earlier, where you want your guests that are coming into your home, your best friend likes a particular wine. You're going to go get the wine.
For sure.
You know
Do you,
that he likes Grey Goose. You're going to go get Grey Goose.
how do you guys keep track of all that? Is that are you guys using like a 7 rooms or something like that?
Yeah. So 7 rooms, it has been very strong in Europe, and we're beginning to discuss working with them. Resi is who we currently use,
Got
and
it.
Resi keeps allows us to be able to keep a lot of information on
Hmm.
hand.
Yeah.
Um, but it's important to know who's coming in, and again, it's a lot of referrals. So people have my cell phone number. People have Jamie's cell phone number. People have Andy's
Wow.
cell phone number. So they'll call and say, "Hey, my best friend's coming into town. Will you please take care of him? He really likes this. He doesn't like that. He likes out. He's got allergic to." So we'll go through all that stuff and literally then pass it on to our host team at each restaurant and make sure that they're taken care of as if we were there if we're not there.
Wow. That's super cool. Yeah, Resi is incredible. I mean, I've noticed it where I don't know if it was with Resi or maybe it was like an open table, but what's so interesting is so like have you been to Claw in Miami? It's
I, I I
it's
I went there. I think I went there. Yeah.
it's like right above Casadona, if you know where that
Oh, right,
is.
right, right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And kind of I went there for my first time like a year and a half ago, and I had this incredible steak, and I was just like, this is awesome. And so I went back again, I don't know, a few months later, and I went there and I said, look, I was here a couple months ago. I don't you have like 6 different steaks. I have no idea which one it was, but
sure.
whatever I had was incredible. And I was trying to describe it to them on how it tasted and what it was like. And the waiter said, just give me 1 second. And he walked away and he came back and he told me my exact order last time. And
Yeah,
I just repeated it. And it was
yeah,
incredible. And it was kind of in that moment too where I was realizing like this is where hospitality, when it meets tech in this kind of way, is such an amazing experience because it's like you go to a restaurant and sometimes I always struggle with this. I'll have something amazing on a previous time. And so like I want to try something new, but at the same time I'm like, that was so good. I don't want to
yeah.
screw it up. Like, right?
We're human. We're wired that way.
Yeah, we totally are. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I
So
agree with you 100%. I think that every guest is that way. I'll tell you how we used to do it in the old days,
yeah.
and again how we do it now. And I really commend Claude pulling that, out of the bag for you, because that's hospitality, like you said. That's
Hmm.
someone going a few minutes out of their way to make sure that you got what you wanted. Some
Yes.
other places, most other places would say, well, you know what? I don't know what you had, but I really recommend this steak. It's very popular.
Yes.
Oh, well, thanks a lot for that information, but no, I was looking
Yes.
for that thing. So in the old days, we had, those little cue cards, the white cards with the lines that you
Um,
memorize with, like just a
oh, I
four by
see.
six
Yeah,
little
of
card.
course. Of course.
We had like a little, almost like a Rolodex, and if somebody at any point in time through service, this is going to Lala Roque 1995, opening in 1995, we would have that for when someone said, "I really like this bottle of wine." We'd say, "Look, if you'd like, we'd like to keep track of it. So give us your name, and we'll do that. And then the next time you come in, we'd like to remember it." That's how rudimentary we had it. And of course, somebody came along
Yeah.
and said, "We got to keep track of this stuff." And so Toast is obviously our other partner in
Nice.
all our restaurants. And between Toast and Resi, the overlap of the two of them, and the emergence of how we can pull up things from past history on someone, it's really pretty easy for us to be able to really
So
hone in
incredible.
exactly what the person had.
100%.
Yeah.
Um, I'm such a tech guy. That's obviously what I do in restaurant space, restaurant
Yeah,
tech.
right.
Yeah. So I I'm always curious to get the opinion of someone like yourself who's done this for so many years and isn't maybe as deep as tech as I am. What is something though with your current tech stack that you wish you had, or have you ever had any tech ideas that you wish the industry needed or should have? Anything in
Yeah.
particular come up?
Well, again, for me personally, it's all about hospitality. I started in the back of the house in the
Yeah,
kitchen, but I'm ultimately now a front of the house guy and want to make sure that that experience is how they envisioned it coming in, or even if they didn't envision it, we want to make sure that it's as curated as possible. So
yeah,
technology is really at the core of this, and certainly humans, because you could have this technology at your fingertips, right? But if you don't have the people that are trained to be hospitable and to understand that we have this technology, use it. And when you're talking to a guest and they're telling you things about themselves,
yeah,
oh, we're here for Parents Weekend, and my son goes to Boston College. You know what? They're going to be back for every Parents Weekend. They're going to be back for Boston College football weekends,
yep,
and you can build a plethora of information. Their wife's name is Susan, and she is a architect. And so the more things we have that makes things faster for us to be able to access this information and have
yep,
this data at our fingertips. And for us, it begins at the portal of the making reservations. So
for
you
sure.
enter someone's phone number in Resi immediately if they've ever made a reservation before at any Resi establishment anywhere in the country, it'll pop up. It'll give us
Yep,
some basic understanding of what they are and who they are, and if they had personally put in their allergies and preferences, which we're really, really careful about and caring about, then those things will pop up. Then the rest is up to us in building that further and making
100%.
sure that we remember Brett that was in with his wife, who's from Brazil, that loves a particular wine and a particular steak. So that when you go to one of our other restaurants, they can see your profile and say, oh, well, we don't have that wine, but we should be prepared to suggest this other wine that we have to
Yeah,
Brett because he might like that. So we talk about these things during our pre-meal
yeah,
shifts, and we talk about who's coming in, who we might know, and what they mean to us. You'd be in our profiles very soon. Brett is a great guy, and please take great care of him.
yeah. I
Babak
love
was on
that.
his podcast, and so on and so forth. So they say immediately I could not be there. In fact, we were away in Philly for the announcement of Michelin,
Hmm.
and for the first time ever in Boston, which we're extremely happy about.
So cool.
Um,
It's
and
so awesome.
it is incredible. We're so
I mean,
happy that they've come to Boston.
Babak, even by the way that you speak about your brand though, and you speak about how you treat your customers, I'm like finding myself being so sold on just coming up to Boston to check this out. Like
Thank you.
you are truly passionate about it. And it's interesting because like I think a lot of brands try to create that artificial passion, and it
Yeah,
feels so artificial. And it's like you said yourself. I think somewhere I wrote it down. I wrote down a lot of quotes you were saying because they were so good. But you said something about you have to have that full conviction and really true like love for what you do, because then that comes out with your customers, of course, right? Um, I think what you're saying as well, though, is it makes a lot of sense. I mean, even if you have the technology, if you don't have the people that are implementing it in the way that feels like it's a true, incredible, hospitable experience, it's like, what's the point? I mean,
yeah,
for our company, so we use HubSpot as our CRM,
sure,
and HubSpot has incredible tools. Like, oh my god, it's overwhelming. Uh, but my sales team, for example, I mean, they're not even using, 10% of all the possibilities. And so, I found myself
sure.
talking to my managers. I was like, guys, we're paying for this extremely expensive CRM. I think I spent like 100,000 a year on our
Oh my
CRM.
God.
Yeah, it's absurd. And I'm like, you know, I'm happy we have this, but we got to use it. like we
Well,
got to
that's what I'm
we got to
saying.
use. Yeah,
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's like there's no point
exactly.
in having, it's like having a corkscrew, but you try to use a fork to get the cork out.
Yeah,
Like, why?
yeah.
You have the technology. Brian, who's a co-founder of HubSpot, is a dear friend, and
Oh, very cool. Yeah, they're
they've
based in
built an
Boston.
incredible. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They
yeah,
came out of Boston, and Brian is an incredible guy, and just one of the most intelligent guys that I know. And
totally.
obviously, it's apparent in HubSpot that he's
They
created.
shout out to HubSpot actually because they are such an incredible company because they are massive, yet they still feel like a startup in all the best ways. Meaning,
Absolutely.
if you want to get in contact with someone from their team, it happens immediately.
Yeah.
They still, and it's funny actually. So I was at their conference. This is like 8 years ago in Boston, my first time in Boston. And I was just learning about HubSpot the first time, blah, blah, blah. And I probably signed up to HubSpot a little bit prematurely, where I had like 2 employees and I was like, I need this HubSpot, the best system,
Good
blah,
for
blah,
you.
blah. Yeah. And I was like, I'm doing this. And it was a little premature. And I had signed a year agreement with them. And I was like, I think it was like 1,500 a month, which at the time for me was like so much money. I
Sure.
was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And so I went to the conference and I just told them, hey guys, like I gotta be honest, I'm kind of fucked. I don't know how I can
I've
do
made a
this.
mistake.
I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And a lot of these companies would be like lock you
Take a
in
hike.
no matter what, take a hike, like
Yeah.
screw it, like whatever. Dude, I was at their conference and I got to go back into some private office with them out of nowhere. And sorry, Brian, is he the CEO? Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the CEO. He stepped down a few years ago.
Okay.
He
So
had
I
an,
I s-
yeah.
I saw him in this office. It was like a makeshift office just for the event or something where they had people, just a bunch of people working. And this is so funny. And I've never said this, but so he was sitting on the floor against the wall, just on his computer, just
Yeah.
trucking along like, hey, what's up? And I couldn't believe it. Like that's the CEO. Like it felt so cool, and they were so cool, and they let me just be like, hey, don't worry about the contract. Just come back when you're ready.
But
And
dude, that is so important in any
yes,
business, right? Like
so
you said
cool.
earlier, is the customer right? That was one of the first questions that you
Yes.
volleyed at me, right? So the customer made a mistake,
Yeah,
right? The guest
totally.
ordered the wrong dish. We go out of our way with making sure that we spiel, as we call it, the table, if they've not been with us before. But sometimes people are like, no, I know what I want, right? So what are you going to do? You just obviously take their order and you guide them. But then they're like, oh, I don't like this dish, So what? You just take it away and get them something they like,
Yeah.
right? I mean, at the end of
Yes.
the day, we're in the business of making people happy. And what's the point of arguing? And
Yeah,
you will win
totally.
them back tenfold, and you'll be out there talking about HubSpot in the way
Totally.
you are. And so those things sometimes people forget. And I know that sometimes we as business operators, especially small business operators, every penny counts. I'm not here to judge others who run their business the way they do. Forgive me. I hope I'm not coming out, telling people what to do. I'm just obviously sharing what I think works for
Totally.
me and what has worked for us. And, at the end of the day, if your conviction is, hey, you're going to be a soup Nazi on Seinfeld and get out, then maybe that's your shtick. That's fine. But for me, I think you win guests with every meal that you serve, and with every hand that you shake, and every person that you come across, not just necessarily in your restaurant, right? There's so many people that I meet out on the street, and
Yeah.
they are like, "What do you do? What, like, you run a nonprofit, and what? You're in the restaurant business, and you
Yeah.
do real estate development, like." And everything has to come from, again, that core, and the core is now the three partners, and we widen that circle with our managers, director of operation Kevin Mabry, and our wine director Nodder and Oscar, and these are human beings that have luckily bought on to what we believe in. And so that person at HubSpot that said to you, "Oh, well, come on, let's go back here," right?
Yeah.
Or at Claw that said, "Let me look into it." Those are the humans that you want to have on your team.
Yes.
And they have to know that you want them to have the ability, right, and the power to make decisions on the spot that they felt was the right move for themselves, for the table, for the guest, and that'll end up to be fine for the restaurant as well.
Totally. I once read somewhere that the I'm gonna butcher what I read, but it was something on the lines of the people that give you the worst reviews, those are the people as well, where if you can right that wrong situation, you can have a customer for life.
Yeah,
I'm butchering it, but how do you approach negative reviews like that? Because look, we've worked with over 2,500 restaurant concepts, and I'll be the
wow,
first to say
amazing,
yeah, it's 10 years
good
in
for you.
running. It's crazy.
Yeah,
And I've seen every
congratulations.
personality type you can imagine, right? And we have screwed some things up, and we have had some bad reviews. And so what I tell my team though is always the same, is like, how can we right what we wronged for them in tenfold?
Yeah,
And when we do, and we actually are able to, we'll have a customer for life. We've had some
yeah,
customers for 8 years since that moment
sure,
at HubSpot. Literally, since then, we've had some customers
yeah,
from that time. And so, restaurant space too, it happens a lot. We get a lot of people that we have this whole application process where someone comes in, and they tell us what they're making in monthly sales. They tell us what their goal is. We learn about their profit margins. And what we always do in our evaluation when we're looking at working with a brand or not is we look at the reviews too, right? Because look, you guys might not do a ton of marketing, right? But what you are doing, and is already a core of what you guys, I'm sure you guys have incredible reviews across all your locations, right? Because you do this amazing job. But there's a lot of businesses, right, that want to look at working with us. So when it comes to Google advertising specifically, what's the first thing someone does when they see an ad on Google and they're considering that restaurant? They look at your reviews.
sure,
And so we tell our clients, hey, if we're going to run Google ads, you, we don't want to do anything with you. I'm sorry, until you guys can figure out these reviews. You need to
yeah,
have something, because otherwise it's going to completely destroy the campaign, right?
sure,
Meaning you'll run an ad, you'll get in front of all the right people, they look you up and decide, I'm not going because there's 2 stars, right?
yeah.
There's no way.
Waste of waste of your energy and their energy and money.
Totally,
Yeah.
100%. Now, I guess for owners that are maybe trapped in that situation, what would you tell them? I mean, maybe some tactical stuff, and obviously on within the restaurant they have some things to fix. But how would you approach negative reviews when it comes to
Yeah.
just online reviews? How do you approach that?
Somebody needs to be reading them. Somebody needs to be
Yeah.
tracking them. And it obviously nowadays reviews come in. And if you have had someone in the restaurant that you unfortunately were not able to get them to be forthcoming, right?
Yep.
And they didn't at the moment tell you what they were unhappy about and give you an opportunity, that's unfortunate. But that's their right. That's certainly,
Totally.
maybe it's a client, maybe it's a date, whatever it may be. They may have felt uncomfortable. But I think it's important to, read the reviews and see what you can learn from them. There is something somewhere in that review that might help you. It might even actually help you just double down on what it is you're doing. Maybe um, you you're like, hey, this is what we do, right? And this is what we're all about. And so this person, you can't please everybody that's coming in. You should try, but if you can learn something from a bad review and you could make adjustments, then you should. But
Yeah.
if it just helps you to say, well, we can't win that person, or I've gone out of my way to email the person, right,
Mm.
personally, and say,
Wow.
I'm so sorry that you had this experience. We really apologize. Um, they even left without dining with us, right? Because you know we open restaurants sometimes as a 2 hour, 2.5 hour wait, and we didn't handle their experience when they walked in the door. And as much as we tried, they felt like we we weren't hospitable, let's say. And so I'd go out of my way. They haven't even spent a dime, but we'll send them a gift certificate. Come back
Mm.
and visit us, right?
I love that.
Because they made the choice of walking in the door, and we're going to have to take it on the chin and say somehow we weren't able to get them in, and somehow we disappointed them. We told them 20 minutes and it took 40 minutes, or we told them an hour, it took an hour and a half. So,
Yeah.
but I think these reviews are really, really important, and you should try. And you can't win everybody's opinion um, in a positive way, but you should try.
100%. Is there something that you're doing now that has been, in your opinion, wildly successful because of where the world's at today, such as like AI, right? Are you guys doing something today that you have found to be such a winning new, whether marketing strategy, front of house strategy, or whatever that you weren't doing early on? Is there? Can you share this with us? Is there something that you have found that has really blown your mind in any kind of way whatsoever?
There, besides the technology and gathering the data for us to be able to take care of our guests even better the
Yeah,
next time they come, there hasn't been any sort of magic wand. It's hours in the restaurant.
yeah,
It's me not being in Miami, unfortunately.
yeah,
It's me,
yeah, yeah,
getting home and saying, "Geez, that was a 16-hour day. I'm tired. I can't, and
yeah.
then get up the next day and be the first one in the restaurant and the last one out sometimes. Or so, I think that those are what make us successful. I don't have a magic wand that has been helpful for us. It's just been just a lot of sweat and tear of work.
No, but I appreciate that because it seems like everyone wants a shortcut or just to wave a magic wand, and it's just not it's just not reality. It just isn't.
In my opinion, it doesn't exist because
Yeah,
if you are talking about an ethos and if you're talking about a culture, but you're not working at it,
yeah.
then you can't achieve it. You can't just imagine it and it appears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I totally get it. Um, what about like if you look back on what you've done, right? Is there any words of advice you share with your younger self as maybe things you would have done differently? I mean, as you started this whole journey where you're at today, is there something you would have done differently knowing what you know today early on?
Admire those who. It's funny. I look back and I'm like, well, I kind of knew what I wanted to do because I was about to say, my older son is an actor, and he knew at 7 he wanted to be an actor, and my younger son is a wrestler, and he gave up acting. He was a child actor also. He gave up acting and soccer. He was a great soccer player, but he's a wrestler, and he goes to NYU and wrestles for NYU, and he knows he wants to be in real estate finance, and he's doing everything he can, including buying real estate, and he's not even 20. And I think that those convictions are what you need to stick with.
Yeah.
An old friend of mine said to me that I will invest um, in people. I have never invested in ideas.
Mm.
And his name is Chad Gifford, former CEO of Bank of Boston, that merged and became Bank of America. He
Wow.
also merged Bay Bank, which was a local bank in New England, merged with Bank of America. Anyway, Chad gave the money to Bob Kraft to buy the Patriots, and he
Wow.
believed in Bob Kraft's passion for wanting to bring the Patriots back to New England and making them be successful. And he lent them the money to go ahead and do that. So I think that, I didn't have that luck when I started my restaurant. No banks wanted to give me any
Yeah.
money, so it was bootstrapping it, literally building it with my own hand, doing the
Wow.
contracting. Um, and so, it's when you believe in something, um, you'll go for it, and you have to imagine yourself at a later time, in 5 years from now, and 10 years from now, and have that goal for yourself, and
Yeah.
say, this is where I want to be. The power of mind is incredible. And I don't think that I would be where I am without my mind suppressing the pain, whether it was emotional from the loss of my country, or whether it was the pain that I felt in my feet and my back. Um, and to be able to persevere through that,
Mm.
or the failures, I mean, failures like we started early on, those teach you things. Those bad reviews are a failure. That's a moment in time that you weren't perfect, and you need to learn from that if you can. And so those things are really the things that one needs to focus on,
Yeah.
and dream big, go for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You cannot have any regrets. There are no regrets in not having done something that you coulda or shoulda, and you just
Yeah.
do it. You just do it.
Well, you obviously really embody what I feel like is just like overall resilience. I
Thank
see
you.
way yeah, you totally do. I mean, I can feel it. I almost get like the chills when you talk about this stuff. Like, and it's funny because right before this podcast, I was talking with my fulfillment team. So we have two companies. One is called Dineline, which is a
Mhm.
restaurant marketing
Sure.
agency, and we've been around since 2015. And then Dishio is our marketing tech product, which only went public January of this year, so it's brand new. Um, and I spoke with my fulfillment team, and we're transitioning as a company from on the agency side, we service our clients. We do everything for you. You don't have to
Sure.
lift a finger. We take care of everything. We're like an outsourced CMO. And we're transitioning to this SaaS business where we need our customers to do the thing. Like, right? And
You got to do the work.
yeah, yeah, you got it. The restaurant owner has to do the thing,
Yeah.
right? Um, and it is it is a totally different business model as you could imagine,
Yeah.
right? And it is surprising to me the amount of restaurant owners who aren't willing to put in the work to learn the thing to accomplish what it is.
Yeah.
But yet you came here at 13, very tough situation, started as a dishwasher and built yourself up to where you are today. You had a lot of things that you personally had to do, and you didn't get the funding. You fought through it. You fought through being a dishwasher, which we all know that is a tough job to have, like to say the least. And
I
you
hug I hug
persevered.
our dishwashers. I love them.
Yeah, I mean it,
It's
it is
toughest
it is
job.
I worked back in high school at BJ's Pizza for a year, and I did some dishwasher. I worked front of
Yeah.
house as a busboy. I was a host, so I know what it's like working those types of jobs as well. And it's but I respect what you've done, and it's surprising to me though that there are this many people that aren't willing to do even the little things sometimes. A lot of people they have this big goal and big dream, but they're just simply not willing to put the work in to accomplish it,
Yeah.
right? And I've seen that a lot. And a lot of people come to us on the agency front and they say, I'm making 200,000 a month, but we should be doing 400,000 a month. And I'm like, that's a big jump. Okay,
Mm.
like
Mm.
$200,000 a month, and we do our absolute best to get some people there, but that is a tough job when this person also is not willing to help whatsoever or put in any
Yeah.
kind of work to get there.
Yeah. That's tough.
Um, it's brutal. Like,
Oh gosh, that's tough.
yeah, yeah, and it is more common than you think, unfortunately. But then I
Yeah.
meet people like yourself who have surpassed way more than just trying to figure out some little software, right? And have done all these things. And you can clearly see the difference in those who have succeeded and those who haven't. It's the
Yeah.
ones that were willing to put in the work despite running into all the things that we know go along with running a restaurant, of course. Um, so I
I think a lot
guess,
of this comes from, I'm willing to bet that those who are successful in
mm,
any business, right? In
yeah,
any business, um, you use the word resilience. And I think that I appreciate that because I think that it does come down to not taking a no for an answer, right?
hmm,
I look at my son as a wrestler or my other son as an actor. They get the door slammed on them as actors all the time, right?
oh yeah,
Rejection, 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 rejection. There's one in a million chance that you're going to get this part, but they study the line, they memorize it, they become that character, they show up, and then they don't even get a call back. They
yeah,
don't even get a courtesy call to say, "Oh, you don't fit
right.
the part," because they're too busy. They're moving on, right? So
Oh
he
yeah,
has to build this resilience and thick skin to be able to move forward, right?
yeah,
And then a wrestler that gets on a mat that took the entire week getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning practicing, and then going to the gym at 7 o'clock at night and doing all the stuff and gets on the mat and loses it and then goes back at it again, right? So those are the things that an immigrant has already learned. It's in their DNA.
mm,
It's someone who has come from an underprivileged, you know, background,
yeah,
and or worse, like me, where they were privileged and they lost everything, and you build it back up. I know for a fact. I know for a fact that if I lost everything in my life, I could still put a roof over my head, feed my family, and I could be a dishwasher. Heck, I know how to do tile work because I taught myself how to do that when I was flipping condos.
it's
I know how
incredible.
to paint. I know how to, don't tell anyone, but I've done wiring. I'm not an electrician. So, the bottom line is those resiliencies has to be in your thoughts, and it's a lot. I get it. As a small business, you just want to succeed. You see others around you succeeding. Don't worry about other people. Just focus on yourself. Focus on what it is that you need to achieve today. Get through today and think about tomorrow, and then plan. And make a list of things that you want to achieve every day. Be organized.
Mm,
Think about the things that matter to you and put them in the forefront, and look at that list every so often to say, here's where I am this week. This is where I want to be next week, and
yeah,
set those personal goals. And if you have a staff, share it with your staff, because, as your staff gets bigger, that's the hardest part for us. How do you keep it unified when
yeah,
you've got, a big group of people that you're trying to manage for them to be on the same focus and energy as you are?
totally.
I don't have a problem recharging. I'm ready to go. I'm energizer buddy in the morning. But I think that it's tough to bring everybody along with you. But
Yeah.
you need communication, communication, communication.
What fuels you the most? Where do you get your energy from? I mean, not like some coffee in particular, but like where, you know?
I think surrounding myself with people that are loving to
Yeah,
me. Get rid of people that are toxic in your life.
yeah,
Sometimes you can't because they're family members, but you just suppress that. You kind of make those interactions maybe a little bit less. I'm lucky that that's not the situation for me. But you surround yourself with loved ones, and you have it's an old Persian religious. I'm not very religious, by the way. I'm born Muslim. My wife is Jewish, so we have our own
hmm,
little United Nations with my
yeah,
Italian brother-in-law and my German other brother-in-law.
yep,
I think loving people around you and spreading that love is energizing. Bad
yeah,
thoughts, bad deeds, and speaking badly. Those are the things that are the core of the Zoroastrianism,
yeah,
which I'm not, but that religion is, I think, really symbolizes from the era of Buddhism. In having good thoughts will come. In doing good deeds, good
mm,
good things will come to you. I've
For sure.
always been involved with nonprofit. I met my beautiful wife doing nonprofit work, and we created our own nonprofit 16
So
years ago.
amazing.
And we help kids with special needs, and we use horses. We do equine therapy. It's called Bina Farm Center. And, doing things that no one else is watching, right?
Yeah.
You're not doing it because your camera's on you. You're doing it because that's your core belief. It's because who you want to be. It's who you want to exemplify. And I'm so proud that my boys, think of me as their idol, and they want to be me, and I want them to be better than me. So I'm proud of them, and those are the things that I think will give you energy by
Yeah.
surrounding yourself with people that will love you regardless, and you also will tell you the truth.
Yeah.
My wife will tell me, "Hey, get off your high horse," or
I think what you're saying, and I guess what I'm hearing too is love, family, and community ultimately,
yeah,
right?
totally. And go
I
out
think
of your way
it's
to do something good for someone else.
yeah,
Pause for a moment and don't let yourself sometimes be in the weeds. Because I do so many different things, it allows me to get out of necessarily the restaurant business so I can actually think. I used to do, dangerous sports, and as a result, it allowed me to have a clear mind. And therefore, when I showed up, it was like having gone on vacation, because my mind is like had to stop because I had to focus on something that was potentially, you know,
what were
life
you
threatening.
doing? What was the sport you
I
did?
mean, downhill skiing, playing polo, things that, at any moment, if you're not focused,
Yeah.
one wrong turn on a downhill and you could be paralyzed, or
Yeah.
you could fall off the horse and, unfortunately be paralyzed. So,
It's crazy. So I won't spend too much time. I know we're almost out of time. Basically, so one of my best friends when I was in college, I went to USC,
yep,
and
great school.
yeah, it was an awesome time. Uh, Good friend of mine named Johnny Strange. He from Malibu was an extreme sports athlete. He'd be annoyed with me by calling it this, but I don't remember the proper name. You know, like the squirrel suit flying
Oh
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Holy
So
shit, he did that.
that is the most dangerous sport
Wow.
in the world.
Yeah,
He did. Sorry, it's a wingsuit is what it's called. The proper name. He'd be kicking me right
yeah.
now if he heard that. So it's
Just
called
bleep that
wing.
out. Just cut that out.
Yeah, it's called base jumping
Sure.
wingsuit base jumping. So not jumping out
Yeah.
of a plane or a helicopter or a hot air balloon, but literally off of a cliff.
Off the rocks, and then you actually get really close to the
Oh
rocks.
man.
Yeah.
So there is a 25% death rate for every time you jump.
Yeah.
One in
I
four
wouldn't be able to get
jumps.
life insurance, dude, for that.
Yeah, I don't think you can. So it's I don't want this to sound to be sad. I mean, it's been years since, but he actually passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
This was in my mid-20s. It's been years.
Wow.
But I
Doing
remember
that?
what's that?
What was he in the process of doing
He
that in the
was
middle of doing?
he was in
Oh,
Switzerland doing base jumping. And 2 weeks up to the trip, I remember him telling me something that always stuck with me. And he's like, I said, Johnny, you don't have to do this. Like, because he was actually pretty nervous about this trip in particular. This was the one trip that killed
was
him.
there a documentary done on him?
There was actually.
Yeah, I saw
You
it.
can
Okay,
you
I
did
remember him. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So he
Oh
was a
my
really
God.
famous guy based in Malibu,
And you
and
don't know what happens until the end in
yeah,
the documentary.
it's so sad. But I remember him
Yeah,
saying kind of what you said. It reminded me of that because he said he did you know uh, motorcycle races like extreme, super fast. He would do the base jumping, and he was said in like a world of craziness and everything happening today and everything in my life, this is my time where I actually get that peace and can just lock in.
yeah,
And it became his meditation kind of thing,
yeah,
right? And so
yeah,
he got so wound up into it. And I've always thought about that. But when you're truly pursuing something you absolutely love, whether it's an extreme sport, your business, or whatever it is, you can truly lock in. That is where you've really somehow found peace within yourself and kind of a stillness, I
yeah.
guess, or focus. And it reminded me of what you were just saying. It's
Precisely.
kind of
That's
cool.
exactly. It's hard to describe it, but it's like a frozen time period that you can actually hear your own breath.
Yes.
as you are doing what you're doing, and your thoughts are so clear and purposeful in what it is you're doing. And on horseback, and there is a cadence between the horse and your riding and swinging that mallet that is just um, it's undescribable. It's like you're feeling the hoofs on you because you're just
Yes.
so one with the horse. And now I was not a professional player by any stretch, but
Yeah.
the couple of falls like put me out for a little bit,
Oh.
and it's at any moment. I was too young to think of that, and but it was early on in my restaurant career, so it was very helpful because as you might tell, sometimes I get a little excited and get
But I can appreciate it because
passionate.
I gravitate towards dangerous things sometimes too. I think it's maybe somewhat of a like an instinct of us entrepreneurs. I mean, we're risk takers by just it's in our DNA
Yeah,
almost to some degree, right?
for sure.
Um, but yeah, I can appreciate that because it reminded me of that. And when you are truly locked in and you have that feeling that's it's undescribable almost. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Um, so man, I mean, this is an awesome chat, Babak. I mean, I learned a lot. I know our audience has learned
Thanks,
a
man.
ton. I guess just kind of like closing thoughts here. Like, is there a part of your story that just hasn't been told yet? Like, what do you think will define you and your business over the next decade? What are you guys looking to do? What's the future look like for you guys?
Um, I think much of it has been said in what I have tried to describe, that we want to do more of things that we love doing, and we want to do passion projects that include those around us that have wanted to grow with us and will grow with us. And life is, again, my dad died at 60, so my goal has been to live beyond his youthful years, and I'm about to make that turn. So I start thinking about, what have I done in life? What have I achieved? And I think that I take pride in what my wife and I have created with Bina Farm Center, and what my business partners, and I have achieved with in a very short period of time, as well as my sister, who was my business partner and retired last in 2023, 24.
Yeah.
In being kind to people and allowing the space for them to be who they are, and to feel like a human being, and not just some employee or number one might refer to it. But I think that you know we want to do more of that. We want people to be uplifted around us. We want them to, and obviously we want to be successful. But I think that success comes with hard work, as we've talked about, and it takes effort, and it takes a village for us to get there. We wouldn't be where we are without our staff, because they are I have it easy, to be honest with you. I'm the least needed guy in the restaurant. I'm happy to lend a hand to whoever needs it at that night at the restaurant that I'm in. They're the ones that are putting in all the hard work, and we couldn't do it without them. So we want to do more for them. We want to be there for them, and we want to grow for them. So we'll continue to do things that make us tick, that make us have fun um, together, and with a growing staff that we have. Um, yeah.
That's awesome, man. God, that is incredible. You should do more public speaking. You really, that's incredible.
That's
I
very
got
kind
I
of
got
you.
the chills again, man. That is so incredible. So, well, Babak, I gotta come visit you guys in Boston because your guys'
When are you
customers are
coming?
incredible.
Come on,
It's got to be
let's do
sometime
it.
next year because I'm actually leaving to Brazil next week and we'll be gone till mid-January. So
Oh, okay.
anytime
Well,
after that, we'll come by.
let's set it up. Let's set it up.
100%.
You have my number. Shoot me up, and we have a project that takes off ground next year, and so we'll coordinate. What we're gonna do,
Yeah,
and love to have you up here.
that would be incredible. And if you're anytime down in Miami, please let me know.
I I
Not too
I
far.
I, I am definitely gonna ring you up.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, man. Well, appreciate everything today, and we'll be in touch real soon then. Thanks a lot.
Great to see you.
You too.
Take care.